were informed that there is no street closing. I mean, that just like that, period. Isn't it
Nobody
right?
ever wanted street closure.
No, but that's what happened. That's what happened.
And please
Brenda-
understand, I have the utmost respect for you. I do, and I'm glad you're working on it hard. I really am. I'm not angry at you. You jumped into the middle
I
of the
know you heard
situation.
it.
Yeah, you jumped into the middle of the situation that was already ongoing, but I don't want to go however many years with you, supporting you, voting for you, and getting something approved, and then someone else comes in when you're done, and then it starts all over again. We got to have this change, man. We got kids, we got families.
Yeah, I know, I do understand that, and we are rushing this to a point, not rushing, we are on top of this, on top of the county, approve my plans, approve the plans, because our goal is to break ground in June. Our goal is not even, I told you when I first came in, it's not even going to take 7 months, you see? Because we are constantly on top of it.
And I appreciate that. I think
We are constantly, my goal is, our goal is to break ground at the end of June and the beginning of July. And we are going to do it. We're going to do it. You see,
We're never gonna get it.
Second Avenue, we're going to do it. We're going to keep on placing the.
we'll never get 100% happy.
No,
Never.
I know.
But if we can get majority and it helps the community as a whole, and the majority of people are happy, then we got to move forward. We got to get it done.
We're going to get it done. You should rest assured we get it done. It's not going to take 7 years. No.
Can we see it?
No. Okay, yes, you want to see it? Go ahead and see it.
Yes.
Okay? Go ahead and see it.
I'll move a little bit closer. Okay, so again, 22nd Avenue, 26th Street is over here. The project ends over here, Coral Way. As you guys already know, previously we've been working at this. We did the temporary delineator post project. We had to remove it. It was sort of a different project back then because it really just focused on trying to focusing on the cut-through traffic. The project now still focuses on cut-through traffic, but it does have an element of beautification. As the architect here from Arquitectona helped present last time, so that input has been added to this process over here. So it's not just traffic calming now, it's an element of beautification. What we're doing now for the project is we are going to be obviously milling and resurfacing the roadway. We are planning on moving the curb outward, so we're hoping we can get this approved with the county, where we're removing the left turn bays and reducing the width of the lanes here from 12.5 and 12.5 to 11 feet, the outside lane, and 10 foot for the inside lane, and really making it a little bit more like Coral Way, which is what we stated before. So it's, in that sense, it has, again, it's a beautification project now mixing with the traffic calming. One of the things that we're also trying to see if we can accomplish, obviously, is we're still trying to limit the cut-through traffic at the intersections, okay? Another thing, by reducing the width of the lanes, you're gonna get a traffic calming component as you're traveling northbound and southbound. You still have the same number of lanes, but whenever you reduce the width of the lanes, people tend to go slower, so that should actually help us as well. It's not just traffic calming through the neighborhood, but it's even if you're traveling south or northbound. So that's a good thing, because if you want to make it more walkable, you want to get the speeds a little bit slower. So that should help out a lot there. As far as landscaping, the plan is to be able to install, as large trees as we can along the median to provide a little bit more shade and just make it more aesthetically pleasing.
Are they going to be native to Florida, or are they going to be trees that are going to fall during
We have an initiative now. We're trying to get native on the lands.
Right. And just as far as the landscaping, as we get more into the design, we'll have a professional landscape architect that will tell us which are the trees that we need to plant there to make it look nice and that the tree survives in the median. Okay, so
we lost our lane reduction?
Well,
Are they-
what do you mean, elimination?
It
of
was
lane?
going to be an elimination of a lane in the previous one.
The
It was going to keep the 2 lanes when you get to US 1 and when you get to Coral Way.
This is
They
considered.
approved it previously.
They approved the closing of the street and they went the back out. What do you want me to do?
This is considered a half section.
So Coconut Grove can get it, but we can't. Go ahead.
This is considered a half-section road. The typical road section is 4 lanes. The county stated that.
It used to be 2 lanes 100 years ago. Why did
I
they
know
change it?
we used to be 400. We didn't have 400,000 people in the city.
It's
Right,
a
yes,
totally
we have-
residential area.
I know, but we've changed.
And 27 is residential and commercial, and they have 2 lanes.
Short answer. The county.
I promise. When they're finished
Just
with your.
point
Oh,
it.
yeah, no. Just know he's going for Congress. And
He
the
had a
subject
question.
is.
They approved the closing of the lanes.
I think everybody would want to hear this, but this to me,
Yeah, guys, okay.
Hey, guys,
I need one
Yeah.
conversation so that we can hear what they're saying.
this looks like a huge step backwards to me from where we were before.
Yep.
If I can just finish, but we were down to 1 lane plus a bike lane, a nice walk path, huge trees in the center. It was like adding a park in the middle of our neighborhood, making it a complete neighborhood rather than one side, east and west. If you drive south on this road in the morning, there's no left turn onto US 1 anyway. You go to single lane, you go across into Coconut Grove. So why would this be 2 lanes in the direction? This doesn't make any sense. It was already approved before. It's a huge step backwards, and unfortunately, this isn't going to do anything for us.
Okay.
Maybe it might help the traffic, but as far as the beautification goes, there's not.
Yeah,
There's no
none of
bike
this-
path.
she can
nothing
answer
that-
for you.
Nothing that we had originally is in there. And to me, this is
The
not.
person with their hand up can answer for you.
Thank you.
Hi. So, I was involved, my name is Mary. I wasn't involved in the 7 years prior to this, but I was.
Correct.
I wasn't involved in the 7 years prior, but I did try to find out as much information about the last project that I could, and it actually turned out that the final plan was never approved by the county. There's an April 23rd CIP memo that specifically says you sent it to the county, and they never answered you, and you were still waiting for a response. So the polls were approved by the city commission, the polls weren't approved by the county, the final plan wasn't approved by the county. I don't know who told you it was, but it wasn't, so that there is no step back if you never actually made the step forward.
The neighborhood.
All
As
I
a
know,
whole.
all I know, you can let me finish, is that I saw a map that looked just like this, that had only 2 lanes.
For the land to expand it to 2 lanes.
This is terrible.
So.
Majority of the
I
neighborhood
would expect that you
wanted
guys to
it.
take it back from the county, are you going to?
Well,
the taxpayers
from-
gonna get the money back for the land that they purchased?
No, I'm saying for 7 years, the majority of the neighborhood wanted it, then you moved in a year ago, and it's all changed.
I never knew about it. I never knew about it. I've been there since 1999.
Can I answer that? Okay,
Never knew about
guys, one at a time. Okay, excuse me. I have to answer Mary's question, or at least try to answer your question. No, I know, but I with respect to you, so I want to try to answer it. If we go down to 1 lane and the bike lane, you wouldn't have to sell back any right of way. We would still maintain the back of sidewalk where it is. We would just add more space to the median. Okay? We will make the medians wider so that you get more green space in the center. We can add even larger trees. So it doesn't mean that we would, give right away to the neighbors or anything like that.
Well, basically, a couple of things. Thank you so
Sure,
much for the introduction. Actually, I'm an architect, I'm an urban planner, and I never worked for Arquitectónica.
Okay,
before.
sorry about that.
But for TBC, which was one of the founding partners, and just one anyway. I have
Wanna
my own
come up?
firm. Several things. Why 22nd is 2 ways issue. I mean, two lanes each way. Some of it is political. The county wants it to stay that way. Some of it has to do with the fact you have a both lane, and that requires a slow lane and the fast lane. And some of it has to do with the fact as well that if it was brought down to 1 lane, definitely it would be a more naturalistic look. It would be down the transect more like a Coconut Grove. But at the same time, the 1 lane would be a much slower crawl of traffic, and as a side effect, you would have a lot of those drivers actually going into your neighborhood and going either north or south in the next few avenues. Pretty much like it happens with Coral Way and US 1, that people going east-west tries to avoid the traffic and gets inside the next parallel east-west street. If you were down to only 1 lane north-south, you would have people driving north-south inside your neighborhood, and that's not necessarily one outcome that you desire.
And something else, just so you guys know, we've had preliminary conversations with the county, and we asked them, if we bring it down to 1 lane, what happens? And they told us, okay, since you know, you do have buses through 22nd Avenue, you then have to develop a bus bay. So then it basically would leave us with 1 through lanes and then the bus bays, and then your median, you can't really widen it, you can't beautify it, so it's almost, you're almost back where you started again.
It's a grittier condition in the end. but-
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what we're doing, we're trying to add more connectivity along east-west. Okay, we may have to live with the 4 lanes, but if we can add.
Yeah, the 4 lanes are fine, you just narrow it down so the traffic is slower.
Right, if we can add across more
And
additional
you gain
crosswalks.
more space for the median.
Well, I mean, unless you're using a bike
Beautification is gonna be
there.
done in you?
Absolutely.
But no, if you're using a bike, then
No,
narrowing
no,
lanes
no,
is
we're
not
on the
good.
break ground.
You see that? No, so you're.
Break ground, and when we get the approval of the final approval, we're gonna break down.
And another idea that you had that was discussed with me last time I was here out in the hallway, I think that's a great plan. I mean, I really do. I think it will work well. But one thing that he had talked about also is say that Southwest 24th Terrace, my street coming up to 22nd is going east and west,
That's-
and the other one will be going.
So that's a study for phase 2.
That's a
So we
study
need to get
for-
22nd done, and then our traffic department in the city is looking into doing a study if converting the first portion of the,
Yeah, the
of the streets,
openings.
making them one way into
And the
22nd
other portion,
or
make it
one
the other
way
way.
in,
Yeah,
will
when
help
you-
the traffic even more.
If you had the openings and it did that, it would be amazing.
It did,
So
okay.
we
not-
started looking at it.
We are looking at it, and that's an excellent idea, and we've been looking at it.
Yeah, and that was your guys' idea.
That's
I
right,
think that's
yes,
great.
yes,
Yeah.
that's one of the ideas, but I don't want to say, we're gonna
I
do
think
it.
that's fantastic.
That is gonna be analyzed, study, and if we can implement it, we'll implement it. As I said, whatever it takes, okay? Whatever it takes, and if it takes changing the direction of the streets, granted.
Yeah, 'cause if
we
you give
have to
people-
go to Papa.
If you give people
Dane
an
County.
opening, they're gonna take it.
We have to go to Dane County and see if they allow us, because unfortunately, it is not our street.
Sure.
If it were our street, we would do more, we could do more things on it. But unfortunately, it's not our street. It is just like 27th Avenue. If it were our street or Flagler Street to that effect. You see, the mess that they created here on 27th Avenue is worse in Flagler Street. It is worse in Flagler Street. You see, streets that they have little traffic in Miami. Now all the traffic, since they extended the median and then they closed the access, all the streets now, they are, I mean, just like you are.
Absolutely. I just want to make sure you're
you see-
considering that.
Yeah, that's still in the.
Manolo, one thing that I wanted to clarify, which is somewhat different from what I had initially proposed, and I'm not saying necessarily that it is better or worse, but that it has consequences of its own, is that in my proposal, I was doing something which is similar to what you have in Coral Way, that you pretty much, if I may show you, you pretty much narrow the gap as much as you can
Yeah.
without the island. Because the thing is that by doing so, that gap gets clogged with cars, both crossing through and turning left. And that's just a strong motivator for people to actually move on to the next intersection. But it still, hold on, please, let me finish. But it still allows you the possibility when that traffic eases down, there is not rush hour or rush hour is slower, to keep going through. Now, if I read this well, that's no longer an option here, and basically you are being forced to go to the next street. Now, since we have a distortion of traffic already, be it because some streets are closer to the main arteries, and being for the lovely work that DOT did on 27th Avenue that created funneling, one unintended result is that, for example, people on 24th Terrace or on 23rd Street, instead of having a bifurcation of options, that if the intersection is very clogged, they move on to the next, but if it is not so clogged, they continue, and those are people from outside the neighborhood, but those are also people from inside the neighborhood, they no longer have that option. So basically you're doing something similar in the end to what is presently on 32nd Avenue by the Renaissance Club, which there is only one way to go, which is right and left, and that's what everybody does. So indeed, by doing this, it's not affecting much the situation of people east or in the morning west in the morning or east in the afternoon on that very same street. It's just moving traffic from one street to another. It's not so bad as with the poles because there everything was funneling down to only 2 streets, but still the distortion remains. So the volume is not being reduced, it's just being moved from one street to the next mostly. The fact that you don't allow left turns during rush hours is going to have some impact. The law-abiding driver is going to respect that and continue to use one. Unfortunately, there aren't that many law-abiding drivers in Miami, and it's a big trade-off whether to just run a left and risk a ticket versus 1 hour late on US 1. In practice, that's difficult to play out. So I'm not necessarily saying that this is good or bad. I'm just trying for people to understand the implications of what's going to happen and where it differs from what I have recommended and to what extent it is other cooks in the kitchen.
Okay.
You're saying that here in the morning, going east, people for the most part are using 23rd Street, 24th Terrace.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that they're going to do that no matter what, regardless of what's on 22nd Avenue. They hit 22nd Avenue
And they move to the next.
right or left.
Yeah, but the next is going to be closed during rush hour by a no left turn sign. It all boils down to whether people. The way I understand that, you will correct me if I'm wrong, is that besides the geometry, you will also have signs on every single intersection that during rush hour no left turns whatsoever are allowed. Which is another thing that you will have to understand, that if you want to do something that involves driving through the neighborhood during rush hour times, you will not be able to cross Southwest 22nd Avenue. For legal purposes, it will be as if you have the poles. So I'm not saying if that's good. I'm not saying that's good or bad. You just have to understand.
We can't say no to everything. If this is an option where we have to cooperate as residents to help each other, and if we have to deviate and inconvenience ourselves in order to make this a goal for everyone, then we need to do that ourselves. We need to be able to sacrifice ourselves from making a right or making a left when we need to, because it's inconvenient.
Yeah.
We have to do that ourselves.
That's a valid proposition,
Just
very
like we have
respectable.
to drive 25 miles an hour on our streets, because we are the residents of our streets. We have to set that example.
Well, what I would have done as an urban planner is I would narrow this down farther, so only 2 cars fit in there. So either you're crossing through or you're turning. You cannot allow 2 different drivers to do that at the same time. So that cuts volume to your questions a little bit down. And you see, if you drive on Broadway, we know that sometimes we want to drive to make a left on this street and say, damn, there's one guy here and the other guy here, I have to move on.
That's it. I agree with you totally.
And that would allow still to cross. That's what I would have done different. The rest I think is pretty good. And one of the things that they are doing, which are correct, is to emphasize having as many speed humps and bumps on 24th Terrace and 23rd Street, because those are the closest ones, which are a straight shot, and to make matters even worse, a DOT funnel 27th Avenue towards those streets. So you need to revert that, you need to advocate to DOT to revert that condition, and also make the speed humps mostly deal with speed. You're absolutely right, but there comes a point where if you go too slowly, some drivers might be tempted to just move on to the next one. So it does cut
No, I
down on
agree.
volume.
That ours have to be higher. I mean, if you're going to put them there,
They
put them
have
there
to be
high
higher.
enough that it's
So they have
a
a dissuasion
Of course.
effect.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
So that's what I would do different, if anything.
Okay, thank you. We will take it into consideration, and Jerry over here is taking notes. Jerry? Oh, Jerry here. You're taking notes, and what is the pro and what is the con? Why wasn't it done like that? Okay.
Real quick, we gotta move on because we have other things. I just want to answer your concern. The issue of narrowing the roadways, it's 19 feet, the median right now is 19 feet. So if you're cutting across, you're letting your tail hanging out.
Your what?
You're at the back of the car, the tail of the car is hanging out.
Yeah.
So that's a concern of the road plate.
Yeah, but that's one of the things why you need to widen the median.
Right, but we widen it as much as we can.
Yeah.
To 10 level from length.
The
So the
median
reason why.
is like 12 feet.
Yeah.
With a lane reduction here, we can get it close to 19 feet.
Yeah, which is enough.
Yes.
Right now, people do it, and they have the two tips pretty much hanging out. It's kind of a dangerous condition when they cross. But if you make the median wider, that goes away.
Another thing that I want to add, that this is in the drawing board, we're purchasing the house that is right here. We are in the process of purchasing the house that is right here, isn't that right?
What street?
Right here, this house over here. What we're gonna do is, this street, and correct me if I'm wrong, this street, you know, they have this water thing, whatever. It is going underground. And we are gonna close this street over here and over here. And that's gonna be a park, and we are gonna make everybody that comes here only be able to make a right turn. You see? Okay? And that park over there, that's effective. That affects you. That is also the drawing board, and we're gonna do it.
Yes.
Okay? You see? Yes, sir.
They're gonna make a park.
We'll bring the board here, they have questions. They have parts.
This is
Could be a dog park, yes, but years from now, everything will be changed. I promise you. Now, my word, man, hold on. You see, let me tell you something. I was elected to this body. And I benefit the whole.
And you know what?